Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? Today is a beautiful day. Yes, it is. It is another day above ground. It is another day for us to be thankful, another day for us to be grateful, and another day of positivity. We've been talking about health all week. We've been talking about positive energy. We've been talking about positive auras, just maintaining that balance, making sure that everything that we do has the right intentions and that we are pure in heart in everything that we do, whether it's a thought, whether it's a word, whether it's a deed that we are doing, ladies and gentlemen. We try to make sure that everything we are doing exudes that positive energy so that we might get some of that positive energy on back. It's good to see everybody this morning. It's good to see all my elementals. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is going to be an exciting day. Yes, it is, because we are talking about women's health. We are going to have another amazing day telling you all about the importance today of women's health. Yesterday, we talked about the importance of men's health. So, we want to make sure that everybody knows that everybody is important. And when you need to go to the doctor, you've got to go. So, today, we're going to be telling you all about the tests that you all need and those and how often you need those tests, because we want you all to understand that your mental health is important, your physical health is important, even your spiritual health is important. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to have a good day. We're going to do our deep breathing. We're going to inhale for a few seconds. We're going to hold it for 10 seconds if you can. If you cannot hold it for 10 seconds, that is okay. And then we're going to exhale. And when we exhale, we are going to exhale all of the negative energy, all of the negative thoughts. We're going to clear our mind. We're going to clear our hearts so that we can have a positive day, so that we can absolutely have a wonderful rest of the week and enjoy this crazy up and down weather. Because, yeah, this weather is kind of like bipolar a little bit. Don't really know what it want to do. Messing with folks' allergies, asthmas. Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm going to ask that you all do your deep breathing with me and inhale with me, please. And hold for 10 seconds. And exhale. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today just thanking you for yet another chance. We thank you for the small things. We thank you for breath in our body. We thank you for activity in our limbs, Lord. We thank you for the functioning of our brain, dear Heavenly Father. We thank you for allowing our families to be safe. We thank you for the protection that you have provided. We ask that you continue to provide that protection in our comings, our goings. We ask that you would bless all of our endeavors. We ask that you would just touch them so that you would get the glory and that they would be magnified beyond measure, dear Heavenly Father. We just ask that you would just continue to shine that sunshine upon us, dear Heavenly Father, because we know that without you, nothing is possible. I ask that you would just grant peace to those within the sound of my voice, dear Heavenly Father. I just thank you for the supporters, dear Heavenly Father. I thank you for all the elementals, dear Lord. We just ask these blessings and give thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning. Good morning, India. How are you all this morning? Good morning. Today we are going to have an awesome guest. I have been knowing her for quite a few years, about a decade now. She is an amazing person. She has the best spirit. She just exudes love and positivity, and she's funny as all get out. She's passionate about children. She's passionate about women's health, Black women's health, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so I want to introduce to you guys my friend, my sister, Miss Beverly. Let's give her a warm elemental welcome. Good morning. Good morning, honey.
Good morning, sweetheart.
How
Good
are
morning.
you
How
this
are you?
morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
That's
So you
good.
got your
That's
oxygen in
good.
this morning. You feeling okay?
Yeah, not feeling my best this morning, but we keep on pressing, and had to have my accessory this morning. this morning.
Well, I wish I had a
fortunate
few this
enough that
morning.
I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to do a couple of mornings without it, because I've been sitting down, but last night didn't go so well for me. So this morning I'm like, okay, I gotta have it this morning.
Well, at least you're here. At least you're here. We keep you prayed up.
I know that's right. We have to. Morning,
Mhm.
good morning. I am Zayda Hill. All right now. Good
Yeah.
morning. So today we are talking about Black women's health, which is something that is just as important as we talked about yesterday, men's health. Um, we need you all to understand that you all are important too. And that good morning, Bobby. Good morning to you. We want you all to understand that it's important that you get checked up. It's important that you all get your tests. Just like we said, it's okay for men not to be okay. It's okay for us not to be okay, because we have to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves. Checking our dipsticks. At that level.
Hmm.
Morning, Yvette. How are you? So, in your experience, Beverly, tell us a little bit about your experience and what it is exactly that you do.
I'm actually a postpartum doula. I used to be a nanny for many years, and prior to that, I was in England, and I had an opportunity to come over here to be a traveling nanny, and that's how I ended up here. And so I would travel with families who had resources to afford a traveling nanny. So I traveled all over the country with them with the kids while they worked and did whatever they wanted to do. So my degree was in early childhood education, and they would pay for it depending how long I stayed with them. So I stayed for 2 years so I could get my education for free.
I know that's right.
Hey, you gotta take your opportunities when they come to you.
Get it, honey.
Yeah, so that's why I ended up here. I was a traveling nanny with an American family, and I ended up staying, meeting my husband, having kids, and still staying in the business of nannying because I just teaching was not my forte. I just can't do it in this country. These kids are just too. It's too much politics. It's not so much the kids; it's the politics behind teaching, and I'm not about that because I think if you work hard, you ought to. Their appreciation should be shown to you. And
Yeah.
I admire the teachers over here. I really do. They are different people. I just can't. I
Yes.
can't.
They are definitely a different breed because, we live in a country where we value and pay higher money to basketball players, baseball
And
players, football
education
players. They get paid millions, while our teachers who are struggling in classrooms
barely
to deal
make fifty
with
thousand
children
dollars a
with
year.
behavioral issues, learning disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
emotional disabilities, and we pay them pennies.
Yeah.
So I absolutely get it. The
Right. And so
balance
parents,
isn't there.
I mean, and today's parents expect teachers to raise their kids, and it's just that's not their job. That's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
So like I said, I admire the teachers today. I really do. I could. I'm so glad mine are grown and out of the system. I'm so glad
Yeah. Good
because
morning, Karen.
I might be in jail by now.
Not jail.
Oh yes, you know me.
Girl, you know me both. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Daybreak. How are you? Good morning. So today, ladies, we are talking about Black women's health. Bonnie says cook with cinnamon ground to cut down the greasy foods, drink plenty and apple cider vinegar, water with lemon. I absolutely do drink water with lemon.
But that's actually not that good for you.
Really? Which one?
No, because what happens is you're putting all that acid into your stomach, and your
Mm,
your liver and your kidneys can't get rid of that quick enough. So you get really like a lot of reflux from all the acid that you're putting in your body. And with lemons, I see people just buy a lemon, cut it in pieces, and put it in their cups. That's really really bad. You have to scrub the lemon. By the time you're done scrubbing it from the bacteria and from whatever's out there, you're taking the zest away, which is the natural oils of the lemon. Then I see people
wow.
squeezing the lemon juice in a cup, and that's not good for you. All the acid, it ruptures your stomach lining.
Wow.
It's
And
not
that's
good for you.
crazy because I didn't like lemon water at first. And then all
Right,
of a sudden I was like, I trained myself not to need sugar. So
right,
because I trained myself not to eat sugar, it was like, okay, well, I'll just start drinking. I had already been drinking cucumber water.
right,
And then I was like, okay, well, let me drink the lemon water because I
right.
cannot. under no circumstances get down apple cider vinegar. I just can't.
It's
I
not good for
can't get it
you.
down. I just can't.
Right.
And I
Well,
don't do greasy foods.
well, your stomach lining is a very delicate. It's a very delicate tissue. So the more acid you put in there, you're tearing that away. So
Mhm.
the best thing that you can do is drink water. And if you want to put fruit in it, make sure you soak your fruit in a little bit of bicarbonate soda, put it in the
Okay.
sink, put your fruit in there, leave it for a few minutes, and rinse it off. That's the most natural way to get rid of some of the dirt and the bacteria, and you don't know who's touched or sneezed on it. The most natural way to wash your fruit. Me personally, I do a cap full of bleach and call it a day. And like let the water run on the bleach for like a couple of
Yeah.
minutes, dip the fruit in and pull it out, and then rinse it off in really cold water.
Okay.
Because all that, I've never been into that. And I was talking to a doctor, a postpartum doula actually, about all of that. And they were saying how bad it really is for you. There's like so many other natural things that you can do. I mean, you can still do the fruit, but make sure you just rinse it off and stop
Okay.
doing the lemon, because people are scrubbing too much of the lemon off. The oils are gone, and then you're pouring the juice in. It's just not good for you. If you could just drink water straight, drink it straight and be done with it.
Okay.
See, I'm not a big water proponent. I don't drink water
Yeah,
myself a
I'm not
lot.
a big water fan. And then I find that I'm not, like, I absolutely cannot drink faucet water.
See, I prefer that than regular bottled water. I've gotten
I
used to
just
drinking it now
can't
because I drink a
drink
lot.
faucet water. Like,
It's
I don't
actually
know
better
if
for
I can taste the
you.
minerals in it. Like,
It's better for you. Chicago's water is one of the cleanest waters in the United States. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. They go through a heck of a process with their water.
wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know.
It's one of the cleanest waters, yeah.
I didn't know that because there's some bottled waters I don't drink. Like, I don't drink the bottled water at Aldi's because it's literally from Indiana. Like,
Right.
I don't want to drink
Yeah. I've
any
become a
water.
big fan of core water is really good. We probably drink I think it's 15 in a pack, and we go through 4 packs a month.
Okay,
Because I've had to teach Haley she has to drink water because Missy's not drinking enough water.
no,
So she's down to 3 bottles a day. She has to drink three 24-ounce bottles per day.
okay.
So yeah,
And Haley is her daughter.
my special daughter. It's her birthday
Haley
today.
is, yes, Haley is her amazing daughter. And that's how we met.
Hmm.
Haley is just an amazingly funny young lady, and she is special needs.
Oh,
Um,
you call her funny, huh? How interesting.
she is definitely funny, honey. When
Right,
she gets that attitude, she is absolutely hilarious.
right.
And so having a young daughter with special needs, Down syndrome, is
Hmm.
absolutely important that you focus on aspects of her health
Yeah,
because things are a
absolutely.
little bit different for her,
Hmm.
and her understanding of things are a little bit different.
Right.
So, how do you, when it comes to, like, what are some of the tests as a postpartum doula? What are some of the things that you see in women after they have babies? Like, what are some of the things that you see that's absolutely important to note?
How quickly postpartum depression sets in.
Mm,
Postpartum depression sets in, and people just they think, oh, it's the baby blues. I'm just a little bit sad that the pregnancy is over. I'm not getting as much attention as I was with the big belly, but the baby bump.
yeah.
And so postpartum depression is a serious, and it's for white women, it's not such a big issue because
Mm,
they have more resources that they
okay.
can go to versus black women. Black women with postpartum depression, suicide rate is high. Abuse of their children is extremely high. They
Wow.
they face other health issues, not enough OB/GYN visits. They don't have a midwife that they can come and talk to about how they're feeling, coping
Mm,
skills at home because they're by themselves. They don't have enough extended family who could reach out to help them.
yeah.
And so suicide and abuse of their kids is really high
Wow.
for Black Americans. Yeah, and to me, not from being here, it blew my mind when I had to do these studies and find out what's going on with Black health. And Black women are just not very forthright when it comes to their health and how they're feeling because they feel like it's a stigma when they just don't feel right. Oh, I'll just keep it to myself. Maybe it's just today that I'm just not feeling great, and that feeling just never goes away. When you see stories on TV of how you see some stories of Black women abusing their kids or they're thrown out of a window, they have gone into psychosis. There's no turning back for some of them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a lot of younger, I've seen a lot of, I visited in taking my class for biochemistry. We had to
Mm-hmm.
go spend a day in the morgue. And in spending that day, like they literally have, it was heartbreaking a little bit because they
Mm-hmm.
literally have a whole wall of just babies of where women have snapped and have
Mm-hmm.
either drowned their babies or suffocated their babies, or
Mm-hmm.
it's literally like a whole just section. I think the worst case that I saw was a 16-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy had they had put the baby in the microwave and turned it on. Like when these young women are having babies, like you said, don't
Mm-hmm.
have that support and don't have those resources, you know, when
Absolutely.
they get stressed out, they do things that are unspeakable. You know, they get, we just saw a case, I think it was on the news, where the woman had left, the police came to the house and there were two young children there and they left, which I didn't understand. And they said the mom had took the baby and left and was coming back. And when the police came back, they found a 9-month-old baby, I think a 3-year old and a 5-year old in the house alone. And the baby was unresponsive. It was like, why did you leave? You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
almost a question of you want to ask, like, why did you leave the two little ones there in the first place when you saw them there alone? You know,
Right. Right.
like, but it's almost like a stigma just in general, because just like Carlington says, good morning, Carlington, how are you? He says, and we are talking about how men don't like going to the doctor yesterday. It's almost the same thing. Bonnie says drinking water will clear out your urine as well with your kidneys, so it's very important to drink at least 16 ounces of water. They tell us 8 ounces alkaline water is good to drink too.
Mm-hmm.
um, Absolutely. You have to, you know, we have to figure out some kind of way to just get people in general, especially Black people, to understand that your health is important.
Right.
When you feel something, check it out.
Mm. Well, the thing with Black women is we feel we are the superwomen of all. We can do it all. And I always tell women in general, we can't have it all. I mean, to say that we can't have it all sounds really kind of like in the dark ages. But realistically, we can't have it all because either you're going to be a mom and you be a mom 100% with all your power. Like with white women, for instance, they want to have it all. They want their career, they want the husband, they want the big house, they want the 2.1 kids and a dog on a white fence. Something has to fall back in order for you to have that. And it's the same with Black women. We try to take care of everybody else and we fall back. And
Yeah.
you just have to do self care is so important because at some point we lose sleep. Our
Hmm.
own health becomes a serious issue. And if our own health becomes a serious issue, then who's going to take care of us? And then we fight and we fight while our health is failing us because we feel we have to do for all others but ourselves. And
And
that's
we,
where Black women has to really check themselves. I mean, we are at a higher rate of suicide. We have issues. Some families have issues with sickle cell, and they don't take care of that. Lupus is another big one for Black women. I think it's 12 or 14% of Black women may have symptoms of lupus and don't even know it until it's really bad.
wow.
And these are the things I find, like with my job that I do. You see things that you never even heard of. Like for Black women, you never know that Black women are at a 60% higher rate for infertility challenges versus their white counterparts at 18 to 20%.
Wow.
Do you know one IVF treatment is $30,000? And you
One.
have to have at least 2 or 3 tries because the first try may not work. So infertility, unless you have the resources and your insurance to do it, they just
Wow.
Black people are really funny about adoption or foster caring because they don't want to do adoption because they feel like biologically it's not there, so the attachment is not there. So that's a whole. It's a whole. It's like you have this big globe, and all these different globes have to be combined in order for you to form that relationship with yourself and with others, and especially when it comes to having adoptions.
Yeah. You have to, at one point I thought, when my kids were younger, as they got older, because I'm so used to my house being filled with kids.
Right, right, right.
I'm so used to my house being filled with kids. It was
Hmm.
kind of like, okay, I told my kids, okay, as y'all start moving out, I'm bringing another one on in. It
Right.
was kind of like I had wanted to adopt, and it was like, but then when you look at it, it's like being a single mom for so long that it's like they don't want they don't want to adopt kids out to single parents, or
Single
they
parents or black women.
no, they don't, especially not a single black woman. They're
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, we don't have anybody that fits your criteria.
Right,
We don't,
right,
but it absolutely, I get what you mean when you say we fall back, because I'm so used to taking care of other people,
right, right.
doing for other people, that
Hmm.
I put myself on the back burner for so long that it's like, I look up and be like, oh, when was the last time I went to the doctor? I think I need to go. And I'll go back and look in my organizer because I keep a planner of everything. Like, I'll go back and look, and it'll be like kids doctor appointment, kids doctor appointment, kids doctor appointment, kids doctor appointment. And I'll keep looking like, okay, well, when's the last time I went? And then it's like, oh, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Because I'm so busy making sure that they see all the specialists that they need,
Right.
making sure this person is straight on, making sure that person is straight, and then, like you say, it gets to a point where our health is just kind of like, okay, now you're forced to go,
Right.
because now
But do
you're
it on your
forced to
birthday.
go to
If
the
you plan it
hospital.
around your birthday, you won't forget because that's what I do. My mammogram's around my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah. I do all the week of my birthday. I do it around then because I know it's coming. I won't
Okay.
forget. So I always plan those things. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Hey, I know that's right. Because if you take
Hmm.
care of yourself, you can take
Hmm.
care of people.
It's like
That's what
after I had Haley, there was issues with Haley because when I was pregnant with Haley, I didn't know the first couple of months because the doctor was like, well, you're, so I was 37 when I had Haley. Yeah, I was
wow.
37 when I had Haley. So a lot of the tests they didn't do because they figured, I'd already had two pregnancies where they were healthy pregnancies. And I was just having like serious back issues. I just wasn't feeling good. And finally I went to the doctor. I'm like, okay, my back is killing me. And I was pregnant with Haley, but we just didn't know how far along. And between the time I went to the doctor and had that visit with Haley, I can't remember what month it was, but because they couldn't really guesstimate how far along I was, because I still had my cycle.
Wow.
And I went to the doctor, and they're like, well, we're going to give you an ultrasound to see what the size was. But she was in a funny position. So they
Oh,
really couldn't see how long she was or what was going on with her organs. They just couldn't really tell. And I remember they gave me like a prodding to move her so they can kind of get to see what was going on with her. And between that test and the time Haley came, I don't think it was 6 to 8 weeks.
wow.
And I was walking down Clark Street. I was going to go and get Brandon from school, from preschool, and I sneezed and my water broke. And her foot came out. So I was
Oh,
panicking. Yeah, her foot. Yeah, Haley was a breech. Her foot came out. I
oh
felt
my
this
goodness.
thud. I felt this thud, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" So I asked them if I could use their bathroom. Put my hand down there, and her foot was there. So I had to
Oh,
walk out. I got Brandon. I was like, "Okay, we're gonna try and get a taxi." And yeah, getting a taxi because we were living like right around the corner. I was walking distance from the house. And so I got in a taxi and I told him, you have to take me to Prentice. And he's like, what's going on? And I was telling because I was like trying to breathe. And it's like, I could feel my heart was really racing. My heart was racing. And it was an African guy, and I'll never forget. He said, I have 5 babies. I help you bring baby here. I'm like, I don't think so. And I don't think so. And we got to Belmont because he was flying down Lakeshore Drive. And the police stopped us. And the police could see that I was struggling. And they gave us a police escort to
oh,
Northwestern with Brandon in the car. With Brandon in the car.
oh,
And by the time we got there, they realized that I was struggling. And they did that the whole steps. I mean, Northwestern is an amazing hospital.
yeah, they are.
It's
They
an
are.
amazing hospital. We got in there. I called my girlfriend to come and get Brandon. She came and got Brandon. And between the time she got there, Haley was born at 2:38.
Wow.
So it was like within not even 20 minutes of being there, everything was stand because her heartbeat was so slow.
So, do you think that if they had have done certain testing, like doing
Absolutely.
an amnio or
Yeah.
doing, because well, I don't know why they call it after 35 geriatric pregnancy. I never
Right.
understand that,
Yeah.
because we see a lot more women in their 50s and their 40s having babies.
Babies.
women are in their 60s having babies. Like,
It's absolutely crazy because most of the clients I have are all in their 40s. Like my last client I had, 41, having her first one. First one.
first one at
First one. And
41?
they told her she could never get pregnant
Wow.
because she only had a part of a cervix. She never had a full cervix. So she was partying and having herself a good time.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
healthy little boy. Now he just turned three in January.
Wow.
And like I said, most of my patients, most of my clients are all white, so their resources are so different. I had one black client, and she
Wow.
struggled because she lived downtown. She wanted her big career. She was like the president of sorority, and she was 44 with her first one, and
Wow.
she had done IVF because she wanted to have a kid. But then she realized after she had it, it's not what it was cracked up to be, and she
Wow.
struggled. Yeah, she struggled. She
So do you
struggled.
think that because women are waiting so much because they're
The
choosing
complications are
careers
worse.
first, because
Hmm.
they're choosing careers
Right,
that now, they want to be established in their careers,
right.
that they're having babies later, is that do you think that's having a more positive or it could have a negative effect on their health because they are much older now
Negative.
having their first and second babies?
Negative, because I have a client now, she's due August the 4th, and they're going to induce her because she is 41 having her first one. They're going to induce her because they feel like if she goes into regular labor, that there could be complications during the labor. So they're going to induce her, which to me is worse to induce her because her labor could prolong and she could lose the child, she could bleed to death. It could be any amount of things could happen during it. I've had with black women, we die more during
Yes, we do.
childbirth than
Yes, we do.
any other race in the world.
Yeah.
Black women. And I don't know if it's because doctors feel like we're natural breeders, we should be able to do this with no issues,
Wow.
or we with black women we get pregnant, we don't go to Lamaze
No,
to
we
find
don't.
out what's going on with your body. You just figure, oh, I'm pregnant. Just when the baby's ready to come, the baby will come, and you go to the hospital and you have it, and that's it. So it's like you panic during labor. You don't know what's going on with your body and how to handle that. Then when the baby gets here and you look at it, it's like, oh, what is that wrinkled up, creamy white thing? And
Yeah.
it's just the baby's process of when it has to pass through the birth canal. So a
Yeah.
lot of people just have this picture in their head, a dream picture in their head of what they think labor is going to be, and it's 95%. It's never that. It's
Wow.
never that.
Good morning, pretty hot teas. Good morning, frugal mama. I see you, Miss Patty. I see you. Good morning, ladies. So I know for me, even when I was having my last two, I was 24 and 25 when I had my last
And
two.
I was just having my first.
And I had to have an amnio with both
Oh,
of them at 24 and 25. Because when they did the blood tests and things like that, well, one, I had to have the rogam shot, which a lot of women don't know about the rogam shot. Because if your blood type is negative when you're
different, yeah.
having babies, you're required to get a rogam shot, because what happens is, because your blood type is negative and more than likely your baby is positive,
Positive.
your body starts to treat your baby like an infection,
Like an enemy,
starts
yeah.
to attack, and it starts to attack your baby. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got real sick with my first one, it wasn't until they realized that I needed the rogam shot of why I was so sick, because my body had started to attack my baby.
Right,
It was like it was like we got to get that shot in. So it's like a
right,
two-part set of shots that you have to get.
right,
And so with having the amnio, I think it really helped with my last two because they both tested positive for Down syndrome.
right.
My last two did.
And that's a positive,
And
a negative positive.
yeah, and it was like only one was a negative positive. The other one was Jessie was actually positive, but she was on a different spectrum. So and that's when I learned that there are different spectrums too, not
Mm-hmm.
just autism, but different spectrums to Down syndrome. There's different spectrums, to most genetic disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because we have such a high rate of not getting any prenatal care, especially a lot of these young women that are having babies, because they're so busy trying to hide the pregnancy that they don't get any type of testing, they don't get any type of care. So they're going this whole 9 months, and sometimes not even a whole 9 months, and then they're having babies in toilets.
Well, it's not just that. It's
Every
not. That's not really the fact of what the issue is with medical care. If you have Medicaid, Medicaid is not willing to pay for all of that. If they feel you're a young black woman, they're
yeah.
thinking in their heads, "Oh, more than likely she'll have a healthy kid. There shouldn't be any complications because she's young." So black women get treated totally different. If you have Medicaid and not your own private insurance, Medicaid is just not willing to pay for certain
No.
things. And so that's what the biggest issue is. So they're not getting the medical care that they need, and they're just not willing to do all the tests. They'll do the legal tests if they feel like if it's a complicated pregnancy, if there's especially if there's drugs involved, they're
Oh, yeah.
quick to do that test versus an amniocentesis test to see if the baby's okay. So that's where the disparity comes in. They will check you for drugs in a heartbeat, but not the other things that could save your baby's life.
Yeah, they don't necessarily, and then also they don't pay for you only get so many ultrasounds, I believe.
Right,
Because I remember asking when they first tested positive for Down
right.
syndrome, I remember
Mm-hmm.
asking, like, okay, so does this mean that we're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
ultrasounds? Let's get a
Mm-hmm.
3D ultrasound. And it was like, no, we don't do, you're not going to be able to do the 3D unless you want to pay for it. I'm like, you just told me my baby is Down syndrome. Like, I need to see their face. Like, I'm
Right,
the baby's face.
right,
And
right.
so it's almost like if you want the high tech or the better treatment, you have to pay for that out
Right.
of your pocket. Like,
But you
and
you also have to go to a facility that is known that will give you the care that you need. Because some of these hospitals, they basically just want you in and out, and
yeah,
that's where I feel like the big, I'll call them big box hospitals: Loyola, Rush, Chicago University, Northwestern. I won't even say Weiss because it's not that great of a hospital. But just like you do your due diligence to sending your kids to school, you have to do your due diligence to get the medical care that you need, and that's just bottom line. That's just
yeah.
bottom line.
Like what? Because a lot of people don't know. Well, a lot of women don't know. Like what age? Because I was told at 40 you should have your first mammogram. But if you
Hmm.
have a family history of
Right,
breast cancer, shouldn't you be getting that at like 21, 25?
right. I know. I just had this conversation actually last year with my doctor. I put in for a genetic testing for the BRAC testing because I found out my biological father's siblings, which are females, and he has a brother that died from prostate cancer. Oh, he has one that died from prostate and one that died from colon. So it put me at a higher risk. So I
Right.
told my doctor and I said, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. I just found some information. My Aunt Claire, she's been struggling with breast cancer for many, many years. And I had one that died from breast cancer. She never knew she had it, went about a busy day, and she died. She died when she was 48.
Wow.
So I told my doctor, she said, well, we need to put you to a geneticist just to
Okay.
see if you have any of
That's
those cross genes that could cause you
mm,
issues. Because after I had Haley, I was found to have a really bad case of endometriosis. I almost died.
wow.
Yeah, I almost died. I ended up in the hospital, yeah, because I didn't know I had endometriosis. But to get back to the cancer thing, you have to do your due diligence and follow your family history. So they gave me the Brax test to find out where I am on the scale for any of the cancers that could be passed on genetically to me or my kids. So what I did was I did the test, everything came back okay, but now I have to have a colon because the colon scale was high. I
Wow.
go every 3 years for a
Okay.
colon cancer test because every time I've had a colon test, I had polyps.
Wow.
So you have to do your due diligence on your own health and get those things checked out. So if you know family history, you tell your doctor, I want this. This is what I want. And if your insurance is giving you a pain in the ass, you go back and said, hey, this is why I pay insurance every month. I
Right.
want the services that you say you're going to give me and what I pay for. And you stay on top of them. Because
Yeah.
my insurance, they were pretty good about it. And the BRAC test, I think, was a couple of $1,000 just for the test. Yeah, yeah. So you have to do your due diligence on your own, on your family history because that's really important because it can skip generations.
Yeah.
You
Because
know,
I
like
know
nobody
that
in my
a
family
lot.
has a special needs kid, not one. Not nobody in my family line has a special needs kid, And when the geneticist talked about it, she goes, Down syndrome is not genetic. It's just they call it a curveball. It's just something that
Mm.
happens in utero.
Yeah, we don't have any like in my family, and that it was kind of weird because no one in my family outside of myself and two of my children have seizures.
Right,
Nobody. Like,
right.
and so it was just kind of like a random freak thing that
But
my
it's
children
not a free
started
thing.
having
It's just
seizures
God's way of
at a
controlling
month
things.
old.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, you have to know your family history because my children started having seizures at a month old.
Mm-hmm.
So one started having focal seizures where his eyes would just dart and he would just kind of freeze. And then the other one started having seizures where she's violently having
Right,
tremors and eyes darting. And so it was definitely a scary thing, for a
right,
young
right,
mom at 24, 25, and you got kids and you're like, wait a minute, what's going
right.
on?
And the
You
rate of Down syndrome has gone up in African Americans. They're finding they're having them at young ages. Like the youngest I've known that was at Northwestern, because that's where I come out of when I do my postpartum care. She was 20 and had a Down syndrome kid. Never, young, healthy lady, never had her family, as far as they know, no special needs, no genetic disorders. And she has a little girl that's Down syndrome.
Mm, that's
So
definitely a
it's
curse.
just is they don't know why. It's that they just call it a curveball. Like with Haley, nobody in my family has any special needs kids. There's no
Yeah.
history of Downs or any kind of other special needs. It's just God's way of just saying, "Hey, this is what it is."
Yeah, but we have to make sure that we're getting that, and not just wait until we get pregnant to get those tests. Like even before, we've got to get our cholesterol checked. We've got to get those blood pressure checked,
Hmm.
and sometimes changing your diet, sometimes it can be a little late to change those diets because you have to worry about the plaque that has already built up in your
Built
artery.
up.
And that's the one thing that a lot of people didn't, a lot of people don't realize that that stuff builds up. That
Yeah,
plaque builds up in those arteries, and
it's
us
like your teeth. It's like your teeth.
as
If you
and
don't brush
as
your teeth, the
black
plaque builds
people,
up.
we love our soul food. Okay,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know we love our
Hmm.
soul food, but we cannot, and I repeat, cannot eat it every single day.
Right.
Cannot have greens and cornbread, the greens with the ham hock in it and the sweet potatoes and the macaroni. We can't have that
Right.
every single day
Right.
because we're clogging our arteries,
Right.
and
But
because
it's
we
been
don't
inbred. That's
know
what's been
testing.
inbred in you. You don't, that's just part of your history. That's just inbred, and that's just how you celebrate food. Black lives over here, they're they've always celebrated food, has always been part of their lives. So it's
Yeah,
hard to detract away from that. Where because I live with my boyfriend is American, Black American. So I see what their family holidays look like. Mine never looked like that. You know what I mean? It's like I look at all this
yeah,
food, I'm like, what are you going to do with all this food? This is
yeah,
craziness. It's just going to be wasted. But it goes on for days, and they will eat it till it's done. And I just never grew up like that. My parents are from the Caribbean. We ate fresh food every day. We lived on 25 acres and lived by the ocean. We just never. That's just not my way of life. So
yeah.
it's totally different. And back in the day, if you feel okay, you go to work. There is no, if you don't feel good, well, I plod along with it. I'll go through my day.
Yeah.
So that's just how we've been inbred. If you feel okay, you got to figure out how to get through the day.
Let's see, we got some comments rolling through. Miss Petty said, I could not. She said, I should have been a slut and had all my kids before 20. Oh, I cannot with you this morning.
No,
I cannot
no.
with you
I
this
need a cup
morning.
of coffee for that. I've been drinking too much tea.
Oh, I cannot. She
Mm-mm.
said, but fear. Frugal Mama says, I had my first baby at 37, 9 days from turning 38. Let's see. Yvette says, Lord. Carlton says, damn, I know about them seizures. Yes, they are no joke. Okay.
Right,
Miss Petty says you can order your own blood work done half the price through third parties.
right.
He says, put the neck bones down. Hi, honey. Good morning, Special Brew. Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Carlton says fresh every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we
We
have
have to
to
get
get
rid
to
of the
the
canned
point.
goods. Get rid of the canned goods out of your
And
home.
they're so full of salt. Oh, they're so
It's
full
so
of salt.
because I have
Yeah.
hypertension, so I'm really
Okay.
aware of how much salt comes in my house. So we don't even have canned goods in our house. Like it has to be either frozen
Okay.
or
Or fresh.
fresh,
Got you.
because the hypertension is what's killing us. And it's so funny because sometimes Like I said, I have 3 kids. The first one I was on birth control. As you can tell, didn't follow through all the way on that. So pills and I are not the greatest of friends. So your face. But
I hate what you eating this morning. Mm-mm.
right, but the thing is, it's like we look at pills as like, oh, I'll take it later, and then later comes and you forget. Because I'm like that. I always
Yeah,
think I'll take it first thing in the morning, but I don't. And it's not good to take it first thing in the morning because you have to wait for your body to kind of reset itself. It's
yeah.
best to take it late before you go to bed. But anyway, I digress. So when it comes to your hypertension, you cannot have salty products in your house. It's just, I mean, I've totally cut out most salts. Like when Hallie eats, he's like, you could at least sprinkle a little something.
just hit it with the
A little
elbow.
something.
Hit it with the elbow.
Right, right.
Let
And I
just
said,
kind
no,
of
because a little
fall so
something
just
can cause
sprinkle
me
a
to have
little.
a stroke. But you have to know your body. Like I know the difference
You
between when I take my pills on a regular basis
do.
to
Mm-hmm.
when I don't take it. Like when I went to the doctor a couple months ago, and it's just with what was going on and everything with my ex, and my blood pressure was 198 over 135.
Stroke level?
That's what the doctor said. She goes, "What
Stroke
the
level?
hell is going on with you?" And I had to explain to her because I was
Right.
beyond stressed out, and I wasn't
Stress will
sleeping.
kill you. Stress
She
will
will kill
physically
you
manifest and
and kill
kill
you. And
you.
I said to her, so they made me sit in the office. They gave me a shot. And then they're like, you're going to stay here for a little while. We'll be back every 30 minutes to check you. Your pressure has to come down to at least 140 before we can let you walk out of this office.
Wow.
And it was just, and it's funny because I know when I'm stressed out because I can feel it. That's what I know
Get
my blood
tight.
pressure is
You get
high.
real tight. Mm-hmm.
So now
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting acupuncture now for a couple of weeks. And anybody
Okay.
who's never had acupuncture, please, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Good.
My stress level has gone down. I took my blood pressure Monday because the doctor's Monday. 123 over 85.
All right now. So now do
Yeah.
you do the cupping and acupuncture or do you just do the acupuncture?
I did the acupuncture at first, and then she did the cupping the other day, only because I was really, really tight in here because I was a
Okay.
little stressed out, and it helped. And it
Okay.
helped. Yeah. But
Yvette
acupuncture definitely
says,
helps.
okay. Yvette says, I agree with her on the canned goods. I like some of it, but I no longer have the desire anymore. I grab chicken or shrimp most of the time. I, in
And
my
even
cooking,
shrimp, you have to be careful for because shrimp is really
I
high.
didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. My doctor told me because I went my last visit. I usually have instead of hypertension, I have hypotension.
Right.
So my blood pressure be like 90 over 60. So my blood pressure be like low like that. Um,
Right.
so it's like when it gets up there, they be like, okay. When they start talking like 130 or 140 over 100, they're like, yeah, we
Right.
need you to just have a seat for a minute. Don't say
Yeah.
nothing. Just sit there.
Right.
And then she was like, well, your cholesterol's looking a little high. I'm like, I don't eat nothing but seafood. She was like, you're gonna have to lay off them shrimp. I was like,
Right.
oh, not
See,
the
I
shrimp.
don't eat any kind of mollusk, and it's just because of the way I grew up. I don't eat any kind of mollusk. I will
Okay.
eat salmon, tuna, snapper. There's just I eat perch, whiting. I don't eat any of the fatty fishes because the LDLs are so high in those.
Okay.
So I don't eat anything like that, and I try to minimize rice, potatoes, bread. It's like Kelly said, "Oh well, you don't eat nothing, but you so fat."
I cannot tell him I'm gonna get him. I cannot. But I certainly get that you have to watch what it is because it's almost like unless you're growing your own food, um,
Right.
you absolutely have to watch what it is because like I stopped eating spinach out of the can. I used to love me some Popeye spinach. And then it
Mm-hmm.
was like I looked on the can, I'm like, okay, no, sodium is too high. So now I make my own spinach. I get fresh baby spinach and make my own, and the kids love it so much more when I
Right.
make it myself as opposed to the can. Like I have to make 2 big bags of it, and they'll be
Right.
like, "So is there any more spinach left?" I'm like, "I'll make some more another day." Like, but it ain't none left right now though.
Right. Right. Right.
And I find that because growing up, I didn't fry foods and stuff like that for my kids. Like if they got fried chicken, it was like a special treat because I didn't want my kids growing up thinking that you have to eat everything fried. You have to, and that's one thing I can say about they love vegetables. They love fruit. I even have a daughter that likes Brussels sprouts like I do, and
Oh, I
that's
love Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels sprouts. They never
Mm-hmm.
mini cabbages, like
Mm-hmm.
So like I had my kids like liver, not happening.
Stop
They
eating liver. I had to stop eating liver. Liver was one of my favorite things, but it's so bad for you. Because
the
what's in the liver,
sodium,
right?
yeah, sodium and all that, and
Mm-mm, it's not the sodium.
what is it?
Okay, so in this country, when they give the other animals the antibiotics, where do you think how that goes? To the
Oh,
liver. That's why I
mm,
stopped eating it because in cow and beef, especially beef liver, it doesn't process as well out as human liver. So a lot of the antibiotics and a lot of the enzymes stay inside the liver, and we're eating it. I haven't eaten liver in probably 25 years, and it's one
wow.
of my favorite go-to meats. I was the liver girl. You could ask any of my friends. I used to love liver. I started eating it over 20 years ago because it's really,
Wow,
really bad.
I didn't think about that because
Yeah,
that does when they're
because they
got
tell
a
you,
process.
oh, eat liver because it has lots of iron, but it
Right,
also has all the other things in it that's not good for you because when they give the animals the shots, it processes through the liver, and it
right.
doesn't go anywhere after that.
I didn't even think about that. Angel
Hmm.
says, not the shrimp. Good morning, Angel. Yvette says, shrimp not good. Carlton
Nope.
says, I think it's how the shrimp is prepared. Actually, no, Carlton. My doctor says she don't care the fact that I broil mine. She don't care that I boil
Mm-mm.
it. She said I need to stop eating shrimp altogether. She
Right.
said it doesn't matter how I prepare it. She said I just need to stop eating it because that's what was raising my cholesterol because I don't eat fried foods.
Right.
She
And
said,
your body probably just can't process it very well. So it's probably just best for you to eat it. And it's like I see people buying buffalo, and buffalo is such a fatty fish. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if people know how bad that is for their cholesterol. You
wow.
know, and you have to try and buy your fish. Like there's a great couple of fish places around here that have really great fish at a reasonable price, and that's part of the problems with blacks in general. They feel like if it's something they want, they can't afford it because the resources is just not there. But it's like,
Or it's higher, or it costs higher in our neighborhood.
yeah, yeah,
It costs like I mean, if you go to buy catfish, like catfish is just a catfish and salmon in our neighborhoods are so high, it's not even funny, But then you can buy tilapia, like for a fraction of the price. So it's like, hey, eat this fake fish, but
you're right,
pay a
you're
lot
right,
for this one.
you're right.
And
I couldn't even
because
tell
of
you
that,
what it
it's like
tastes like, and it's true because
I stopped
I
eating
work in
tilapia
I
because
work
it's
on
not
the
real
North
fish.
Shore.
Yeah,
I
I don't
work on
eat
the North
that.
Shore, so very rarely do I buy groceries in my own neighborhood. I try not to do that, but I do out of convenience because I figure if I'm already out there, just do my grocery shopping,
Mhm.
and I can just come straight home and not have to worry about stopping at the stores. But the prices out in the suburbs, especially on the North Shore, is probably I won't say half of the cost, but it's a fraction of the cost of what it is on the
Yeah,
South Side. And
it
then you
is.
don't get the attitude like you do out
No,
here. So that's one of my other issues. But that's just my personal issue. But I
no,
feel
it's not
like
just your personal issue. I think it's an issue for me as well. Like
right,
I feel like if I'm going to spend my money with you,
right,
same way with healthcare. If I'm going to come to you as a doctor, or
right,
I'm spending my money with you as a customer or a consumer, I feel as if the least you can do is have an attitude of gratefulness. Like, hey,
right,
you're happy to see me. I don't care if you had a bad day. At least act like you're happy to see me.
right, right,
I
right,
don't want to feel like I'm bothering you
right,
because I'm asking you for something I need, or
right.
I feel like you don't want to be here while I'm trying to explain to you what's going on while I'm asking you to purchase something.
Right. Well, that's the other issue that I have too. When you go to all these other neighborhoods where you get better service, it's the same when you go to the doctor's office. How many of you all have either black female doctors, black OB-GYNs, black internists? How many of your doctors are all black?
Let's see. Actually, mine are. I have a black ortho doctor, a male
Mm-hmm.
black ortho doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I have a male black pulmonologist. My PCP is a black woman. So hey, I keep
Right.
looking, because I feel like they understand a little bit more of what it is that I'm trying to get across, and not
Right.
feel like, oh well,
Okay,
you
let me
know.
ask you this then. Do you feel with the black doctors that you have, do you feel like they give you what you need or give you what you want to hear? Do you feel like they're
No,
really in depth in your family, in your history?
Actually, my primary care doctor, because I have, in 1 year, we had 3 women in my family pop up with breast cancer. My aunt, they were able to get her lymph nodes, and she was okay. My 2 cousins had to have double mastectomies, and so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think in my family total, on my mom's side, we've had like maybe, I want to say 6 or 7 women with breast cancer. Um, and when I told her that, the first question she asked me was, "When was your last mammogram?" And when I told her I hadn't had one, the look on her face was like, no, ma'am, we're scheduling you one ASAP." Like, before she finished anything, the first thing she did was input in the computer a mammogram. And I was there
Right.
next week getting my mammogram.
Right.
Like, and so, and my old OB had been telling me for since I was about 30, like, you need a mammogram. And I was like, I'll wait. They said 40, so I got a few years before I gotta go get that done. And I was one of those like that put it off, put it off, put it off. And when I went and got my first mammogram, I'm thinking I'm gonna sail through it. Like, they called me before I left and was like, we need you to come back and do another test and do an ultrasound because we found something. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And
Mm-hmm.
so they found something. So I'm grateful to my primary care doctor, because she is a Black woman, for pushing me to be like, this is not something we can hold off on. This is
Right.
something we need to get done. And
Right.
because of that, they were able to find, whatever they were able to find, and they're able to treat. I'm able to do whatever they need to do because they were able to catch it early.
Early. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it absolutely, to me, makes a difference, because my old primary care doctor was an African man from Nigeria, and he literally just blew off everything because he feels like Americans are big babies and we over exaggerate everything, and like, we can't take a little bit of pain, or we can't take a little bit of uncomfort. So for 6 years I tolerated his nonchalantness and him blowing me off, and it was detrimental to my health in the end.
Right. And as
you know
and as women, you have to find doctors who you can sit down and have a conversation with. You've got to find you've got to be and we as women, we have to be honest about what our medical issues are.
yeah.
Instead of saying, "Oh, I just feel a little bit of pain, and I just got to come in and just see what you'd say." Be honest about how you're feeling. Be honest. Track your cycles. Track how you're sleeping.
Yeah.
If you're having any kind of pains or uncomfortness, tell the truth, speak up. It's about you, it's not about anybody else. We need to stay healthy, not because of just our families. If you want to see your grandkids, you've got to stay healthy, you've got to get it together. Look at Keith, who passed away at 58,
Yeah.
and he could have just gone to the doctor.
Yeah. Absolutely.
you know
Yvette
so
says, Yvette says, I love spinach. I do too. Miss Petty says, I want to start a garden. I actually looked up, because a lot of times, being in the city, you don't have the space to do a garden, or the soil is just like blah. So I looked up how to do hydroponic, how to create a hydroponic garden. So I'm going to start a hydroponic garden in
mm.
my basement.
And you can
Uh,
even do one in your kitchen. All you got to do is get like one of those window boxes. Get
yeah.
Mix the soil. You need potting soil and garden soil. Mix it together. Like I have one. I have basil, thyme,
Yep.
oregano, rosemary, mint,
Yep.
and I go in there and I pick up a little few pieces when I'm
I got
cooking.
cilantro. That's the first thing I do, is do my herbs. I
Right,
love
and those
gardening.
it
I love
makes a
the way
difference
it
in your cooking when it's
smells.
all nice and fresh. So
It
there's little things you can do. Not everything is is such a big deal, but there's little things you can do to bring healthiness into your home and set an example. So you can do fresh herbs. You can go to the farmers market, help your small farmers out. Like I was very anti Whole Foods for a long time, but now that I've got a better understanding of what Whole Foods is about and where they get their products from, I'm more of a support of them than I am the big box stores, because Whole Foods, their whole mission is to support the smaller farmers. So
right.
I think you get a better product because a lot of the small farmers, they don't use all the pesticides on their
They don't.
products. So it's a little bit healthier for you. And not everything in Whole Foods is like they say, is organic, because certain things just can't be organic. Because in this country, there's a law with the FDA that says everything you put into your mouth that's a meat product has to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So, you just have to kind of pick and choose. Like this, like if you go to a halal stores don't vaccinate their animals, and it's killed in a certain way where
Yeah.
the organs don't go into shock.
Right.
So I, like if I buy chicken, sometimes I buy halal chicken, or
Okay.
I'll go to because I'm up north, I'm on the North Shore all the time. So I go to like Jewish stores and buy my meat because I know it's cut in a Hasidic way, so where the animals aren't totally like tortured the
I
way
know who to send for my meat shopping. So I'll be calling like you want
Right, right.
Um,
So
Bobby says she hasn't eaten red meat since June 1st, 1996. She
right.
know the date.
Right.
Uh,
I eat meat. I eat red meat in July when it's barbecue season. I eat it twice a year. I put it on the grill July 4th, and I do Labor Day weekend and Memorial Day weekends. So the 3 times a year I eat steak. I want a good piece of. We do a ribeye on the grill, and I'll do a porterhouse on the grill. And those are my two
all
favorite
right.
types of red meat: a baked potato and a big salad. That's what. If I eat a steak, that's how it has
Like
to be.
that's your picnic meal.
That's it for me. But we eat chicken, tons of fish.
Yes, on the meat.
We just I try to stay away from red meat, but that's my one indulgence. Those 3 holidays, even though it's not my holiday, I indulge in it.
Miss Petty says she don't eat tilapia. Yeah, I don't.
Me
I've
neither.
been stopped eating tilapia because it's not a real fish. It's a man-made fish. You can't
Mm-hmm.
find tilapia anywhere in the wild. So that should let you know that
Right.
tilapia is a man-made fish. And
Mm-hmm.
so they
They
did it out
they
of
crossbreed them.
necessity. They did it out of necessity because it was like, okay, we need to come up with something that we can sell for cheap and that we can create at large numbers, to
Right.
keep it going. And so
And
I
black
get
people fell for that. We are the only ones that will eat.
tilapia.
We eat a lot of tilapia. It's something I don't eat. I've never eaten. I've had catfish maybe twice in my life, and tilapia. That I've never eaten tilapia ever, not once. I
Have you ever
couldn't tell
eaten
you.
flounder?
Hmm?
Have you ever had flounder? I've had flounder, which is pretty mild. Flounder is
Mm-hmm.
a pretty mild fish. Of course, cod, um, tailfin, yellow tailfin.
Tuna, yeah, I like
It,
tuna.
it was okay. I wasn't a big fan of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I found that the flounder was a lighter fish, and if you season it well, it's just as good as catfish.
Right.
Just a
Yeah.
little lighter,
Do you
but
eat swordfish?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
I do.
love swordfish, but you can
Yeah,
only eat that
fish is
minimally.
pretty good. It
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that like it wasn't until because I was getting my meat delivered, through the meat place that I was going through, like they would have different kinds of fish, and I'd be like, I don't eat that, I don't want that, and it was like, no, try it, just try it, and by in trying it, it was like, okay, I can do this because
Yeah.
like I make the fish sticks out of the flounder because
Mm-hmm.
it's such a lighter fish that you still get the flavor of it, but you don't get the heaviness of it. So
Right.
I
Right.
like that for the fish sticks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yvette says liver is good for the blood, but it's an organ and was told it wasn't good. That is why people with diabetes can't eat it. Like she says, liver, rice, and gravy. Woo! I no longer eat the liver.
And with that one, liver and rice was used to be liver with
I think
sauteed
growing up,
onions
that's
and
all
sauteed
we ever ate on
mushrooms.
weekends was liver and rice. Ooh.
I love liver and rice, but like I said, because I know it's really bad for me, I've eaten it over 20 years. Been a long time since I've had it, and I see it, and I'm like, oh, that looks really good, and I'm like, nope, can't, can't do it because
You
it's
start
not that
thinking to yourself
expensive.
like, that's a whole plate of antibiotics right there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'll pass.
Yeah, right. And it's like, have you noticed salmon now? They have the 2 different kinds of salmon in the
Yeah,
store because they've
they
come
have
up with a
wild
new.
caught. They have wild caught salmon, and then they have farm raised salmon. They
Mm-hmm,
got two different kinds, and they're two
mm-hmm.
different colors.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
two different colors. One is
And
a
the one
pink,
that's the darker
and one is a
pink,
red.
right? The one that's the darker pink, because a fisherman told me this. The one that's the darker pink, they're shooting it up with some kind of dye to make it look really red
I
and
saw that.
to make it look pretty in the stores. And
Yes,
that's
I
not good for
saw
you.
that, and they have. It was something I saw even on Facebook where they were taking the vegetables even from certain places, like the green beans. They were putting them in green dye to make them like really bright, and certain vegetables they were putting like the purple. They were putting dye on them so that because they said what did they say? Organic foods are not pretty. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to sell them, they have to make them pretty by putting the dye and stuff on them and making them bright and pop so that people would want to buy them. And I'm like, no, I'll take that dull food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll take the dull one over that bright one because
Right.
if
It's
it
just
didn't come
crazy
out
some
the
of the stuff that
ground
they're
right,
doing
I
too.
grew it.
And that's why you have so many of us that are so sick and we don't know. Like
Yeah.
you have all these kids with ADHD and AHD, and it's just there's something going on with our water and our diet. There really is. There's something that they're just doing that because back in the day, we never had all these illnesses. And I know medical technology has gotten better over the years. So we're
Yeah.
more aware of what goes on with our foods, but something's just not right.
Not to mention the fact that all the kids in these newer generations are huge. They are huge.
Huge. Yeah.
Like, I mean, some you see some of these kids now. I think I was walking somewhere with my sister, and there was this lady walking with her son in a stroller. I'm sure the little boy couldn't have been no more than 2 or 3, but he was so big he didn't even fit in the stroller. Like, he looked so uncomfortable being squished in
Right.
the stroller. And it's like our kids are so big from just the food that we're feeding them. And it's not that we're overfeeding them, it's the steroids and the stuff that's in the food
In the
that is making
foods.
kids big.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're eating regular portions, there's these kids are huge.
Right, right.
And they
Plus
weren't
kids
that big before.
plus kids aren't getting the exercise that they don't they,
Video games. That's it.
video games, yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
exercise right here, thumbs. But they
Mm-hmm.
got strong thumbs.
Right, right. Yeah.
And
And
nothing
it saddens
else.
me because even with black women, even though we're not sedentary as it were, we sit a lot in our offices. We come home, we sit down, and those are some of the issues with us. We're like some of us having knee issues, back issues, because we're just not getting enough exercise. Now, when you see white women, those little skinny dip skinny girls.
They be out with them strollers, jogging with the strollers, and
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
that's because they can afford them $200 jogging strollers.
Oh,
We
but $200, that's cheap. Pay
right,
five
and
hundred
that's the
dollars.
used version. The used version is 200 for them jogging
Yeah.
strollers. I've looked them up. I've seen strollers up to 1,500. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And
that's
and
like
that's and
rent.
that's what amazes me in this country is like the disparity between, like the north side and the south side. There's
Completely
such
different.
because me, I'm a north side. My kids grew up on the north side, so we know the difference in the schools over
Yeah,
here and the schools on the south side. It's just totally different, and I think that
it's
is
like you're in two
so.
different states.
Yeah, yeah,
From the north, even if you look at the medical clinics
yeah. They're totally
on the
different.
north sides, they're pretty buildings, and they have these pictures of people happy on the outside of the building. And then you look at the clinics we got on the south side, half of them look like storefronts because they
Hmm.
either look run down or they got pictures on the windows that are just so cracked up and dilapidated. People like, that's a clinic, or either there's a small window. It's
Yeah,
just a brick wall with a small window, and then the medical cross on the door.
yeah, right,
That's
yeah,
what our clinics look like. Our clinics look like you're going into a jail or a
right,
prison or something. Like, that's what
right.
our clinics look like.
So
Um,
we have to do better as a people to really seek out good medical care and get doctors that specialize in whatever your illness is. Just don't go to your regular doctor, be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, blah blah blah. I just need, dig deeper into what's really going on so you can get the help that you really really need. Especially when it's mental health. Black people have this stigma like, I'm just going through a thing, I'll get through it. You may not. Then what do you do?
yeah.
I see that all the time. I had a woman, this is probably going back 20 years ago, and she was a black woman, and she jumped out of the building. She fed her baby and everything, and she just felt alone, and she just thought she had the blues. But she was in postpartum. She was seriously into postpartum. It was over a year, and one day she took a shower and everything, put the baby down, took care of herself, and jumped out the 38th floor of a building. Hmm.
38th floor. Wow.
Because
Like,
you think everything's fine, then you realize like, where's my life going? I'm not just she lost part of her life becoming a mom, so now
yeah,
she was just a mom. So her
yeah.
whole thing was, what am I besides just somebody's mom?
I'm
And
still
that's
trying to figure
where.
that out. And my youngest is 15, and I'm just now figuring out who I am besides mom.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to be somebody else besides mom. Like,
and
and
that's
my
the difference
postpartum lasted
between
a long time.
and that's the difference between you have resources and when you don't. You have to find somebody that specializes in the field of the illness that you have so you can get the real help that you need, the
Yeah.
right help that you need. And talk, be honest about how you're feeling, because postpartum depression, mental illness is really high in the black community, and we have this stigma where, oh, I'm just feeling a certain kind of way. I'll get through it today, and tomorrow may never come. So
Yeah.
you have to really seek out the help that you get. And if you're having issues, talk to your girlfriend, talk to your parents, talk to somebody that you trust that's not going to judge you. Because black people, I feel, are really judgmental on certain things.
Towards each other, especially.
You know.
Miss Petty says she switched all her doctors to the north side, Yvette says most of the time we don't ask questions to learn more about our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I had some like that. Brie passive wasn't good enough for me. And Carlton says, I don't fool around beef much, only Christmas time.
Right.
Says you get sick of eating the red meat after not having it for so long. Yvette
Mm-hmm.
says, I don't do red meats either, Bobby. I like it, but it don't like me.
And that's what,
So
as you get older, you'll find that your body just doesn't digest it as well.
yeah.
You know.
It's like let's see. Zeta said, I am Zeta Hill says, that is true. I agree. Yvette says the steroids and salt in the foods. Bobby said, like it from afar.
Right. Right. Right.
Allow, stay as far away from it as you
Right.
can,
Right. Right.
especially if it doesn't agree with you. Hey, Randall, good morning. He says, hey, everybody, I'm still here. Love and miss the show, you all. Oh, love you too. Yvette says that way, only haven't eaten it in years. So, it's like I stopped eating pork. Like for me, I was eating pork chops all the time, and then it didn't help that we got a pig, and I was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of rude to eat pork, and you have a pig, it was just, it was like common courtesy to just stop eating pork chops. But I love my bacon, so it's like going from that to imitation bacon. Like I just cannot do turkey.
Imitation bacon?
Period. It like the
No, no, no,
bacon
no. Wait,
bits,
back up.
on your
What do you mean
salad.
imitation bacon? Where do you get
Like,
that?
girl, it is so crazy. And it is the weirdest taste. The weirdest taste. Like I've called myself because I love bacon on my salad, like little bacon bits. They have like imitation bacon bits. Girl, I haven't stopped eating those. So I was like, these are so hard. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
You don't know what it is, but you're gonna eat it. Oh Lord.
Girl, I had to stop. I was like, no, I just cannot because I
Mm-mm.
can't do turkey bacon. It tastes like leather or tree bark to
Have you
me.
ever looked how much sodium is in turkey bacon? That's why I stopped
A
eating it.
lot. It's a lot of sodium in turkey bacon.
When I talked to my
Like,
nutritionist about it, she because I said to her, I do like bacon every now and again. And she goes, well, have your bacon every now and again, but stay away from turkey bacon. It's got too much nitrates and it has too much
it's
sodium.
worse than regular bacon.
Yes, yes. So I stopped eating
Right.
turkey bacon.
But we have to. I just want to make sure that all that women understand. If you have a pain, you need to pay attention to that pain because sometimes a sharp pain could mean something different from a dull pain.
Could be a blood clot that's
Or
traveling and you don't know.
that's right. If you have an aching pain somewhere, when you go to the doctor and you tell your doctor that you have pain, make sure that you're being very specific in what you're telling your doctor because in your details, that is what will help them to determine the type of test that you need. Because if you're having a sharp pain on your side, then they'll know that maybe it could be just the x-ray you need. But if you're having a constant dull pain, well, now maybe you might need an MRI versus that x-ray because now it might be something different. So we want to pay attention to that because when we say we're just in pain and the doctor's like, okay, so where's the pain? How often is the pain? They need to know those things. So those are the type of things that you've got to, if you got to write it in your journal, write it in your calendar, right? If you got to put sticky notes, like, hey, today was dull back pain. Today was sharp back pain because they need to know the frequency in which you're having these pains, where you're having these pains, and that's really important because as women, we're not always staying, like you say, we fall back because we're taking care of other people. And we've got to make sure we're getting those mammograms. We've got to make sure we're getting those pap smears, getting them as often. Sometimes we can go every year. Sometimes we can go every 2 years. But if there's something wrong, you need to be going every year.
Right.
If you're getting if your HCV is popping up, HPV is popping up as abnormal, that's something you need to get checked out
Yeah.
because
And not just that, you have to be diligent. You have to be diligent with your doctors. Like if you're having regular pap smears and it comes back abnormal, don't let your doctors blow it off and say, "Oh, well, just a one-time thing. Let's do next year and see how that comes." No, get it checked out because it's abnormal for a reason.
yeah, it is. And we want to make sure that we're getting our blood pressure. We want to make sure that and sometimes you don't even have to have high blood pressure to
Mm-hmm.
just buy a blood pressure cuff to have in your house. I
Mm-hmm.
think having a blood pressure cuff in your house is one of the best things you could have
Right.
besides a thermometer. Because
Right.
if you feel that your head is hurting and your vision is getting blurry, sometimes that could mean that your blood pressure is a little too high. And you
Right.
might need to check it because
And then
if
another thing that you need to do,
you
if you're getting headaches, it could not only could it be high blood pressure, but it could also be with your vision. Because when you have high blood pressure, it does affect your vision. Because I just went and got my eyes checked a couple of months ago because I noticed that the yellowing of the light in the house was really bothering me, and I thought
hmm
something was wrong with me. So I went to my ophthalmologist and I said, "Hey, look, I feel like my vision is going because the light, like I'm squinting to read, and I do a lot of reading." So he's like, "Well, what kind of light do you study in?" And I said, "Well, the light in my house is kind of like that amber yellowish." So he's like, so he gave me the test, and there's nothing wrong with my vision. He said, "Yeah, I have a little bit of cataracts. Mine was 60." So it's like your vision does start deteriorating as you age. So that's just normal progress. But so we
yeah,
had to change all the light bulbs into my house into the clear white. Now my vision's
okay,
fine. So it's
yeah,
just like as you get older, or you could just be tired and your eyes get tired. So you just change the level of brightness in your house by changing out your bulbs. Because some people have that orangey, yellowy looking bulbs, and you think
yeah.
it's clear, but it's not. It's not good for your eyes because it makes you
It's a
struggle even
cloudy.
more.
It's like a cloud, almost like a cloudy type.
Yeah, exactly like a
Light.
blurry. Yeah. So he
But
said
we
there's
want to
nothing wrong
make
with my
sure,
vision.
like you said, that's just one example. We have to make sure that we're checking everything.
Checking
We want to
everything.
check our eyes. We want to get our teeth checked.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might have to go to a chiropractor to get your spine checked.
Right. Get
Because
an alignment. Yep.
you do. Because as you get older, and I don't think people realize that sometimes when you're sitting and you're sitting up and you roll them shoulders back and you get that pain in your lower back because you're sitting up straight and you roll
Mm-hmm.
them shoulders back, is because your body is starting to adjust to you sitting at home, or when you sit, we tend to slouch.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
sit
that's not
forward.
good.
So it's like when you sit and you slouch and you're sitting forward and that's comfortable for you, that means that your spine is now becoming unaligned, and now you're developing what they call kyphosis. You ever seen those women when they walk and they have that hump that looks like this in their back and they look over like this? It's because they got their body became conformed to the slouching and sitting forward. So now
Mm-hmm.
when they stand, their body is in a slouching forward position
Right.
because their spine has conformed to that. So we
Right.
want to be mindful even in our posture. As we sit down, roll your shoulders back.
Right.
You find yourself, if you find that's painful a lot of times, and that's something you need to start to practice. Sometimes you might need to see a chiropractor, or you might need to see an ortho doctor,
Mm-hmm.
to see how your back is doing, because that's something that that's a little minor thing that we don't pay attention to. We slouch
Right.
a lot,
Right.
especially if we don't have backs on our chairs that's forcing us to sit up
Right.
straight.
Wear
I
the
know
correct bra. Wear the correct bra
yeah,
because some of
correct
us will wear
bra,
them down, and if you don't wear the
something.
right bra, it puts pressure on your back, especially on your coccyx. So you just the right bra, like you should, and realistically, you should get your breast size, your bra size every 6 months or at least once a year because your body changes.
Yeah.
Some of us are going through menopause, and that affects how you wear your bra, how your breasts feel. So get a good fitting bra. Soma is a great
Yes.
place to go. There's a place on Western that does like bra fittings. I mean, get your bra size at least every 6 months or at least once a year because your body does change. We gain weight, we lose weight.
Then as we get older, gravity becomes, start trying to become
Like
your
your
best
friend,
friend.
right, right,
Gravity be like, hey girl,
right,
at
right,
first you see her from a distance, like, hey girl.
right,
You get
right,
older, you be like, girl, look, get off my shoulder. You sitting too close.
right,
you know
right.
so it we definitely want to be diligent in making sure that we're getting everything checked out, from our hearts. We want to get our hearts checked out, get
Right.
your mind checked
Right.
out.
And then
you
the other
know
thing that also want to bring up is to ask how many women in this group are part of a health study, because health studies are a good way for us to be part of a group of sharing information and getting other health issues out there that needs to be studied. And I was reading this. I'll just share this with you real quick. There's a study out there, the Black Women's Health Study, that's been out for about 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. And they were stating that 20% of Black women develop depression.
yeah.
They say Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications, and Black women are 18% more um, will get psychosis
Yeah.
than their counterparts. Black women suffer 12% more from infertility, and 20% suffer from infertility. and don't share that information. So it's really good to be part of health studies so that we can get medical information out there about the things that we suffer from, so that the government, especially the FDA, can make medication more apt to an African American diagnosis, so that we can get more help and that the medication is more for us, because we're built differently. We have sickle cell, we have hypertension, there's genetic disorders that we have where some of these medications we just can't take.
Yeah.
So to be part of a health study is really important, so that the information gets out there so that it can be shared and studied. I've been part of Black Women's Health Study for over 20 years. And I mean, without fail, around my birthday, I'll get a letter saying, congratulations, you made it to 21 years. Fill this out, see where you are with your health. And they follow they follow all the data that
That's
you
good.
share with them, so that you become part of the database, so you can get medication specifically for our ailments, as it were. They're
That's
really, really good.
And I want to thank, and I want to thank you all for joining in, and make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe. Give us those thumbs up and those hearts. We really
And
appreciate
stay
you all.
healthy. Get
Yes,
healthy checkups, mental health checkups. Please become part of health studies that can help us get medication that we need. Become part of Black women's health. Become part of Black mental health. There are so many Black organizations out there, professionals, doctors who specialize in our needs, in our health needs, that have resources that we can share and be part of. So please check them out. They're on the internet. Go to the good ones and check them out.
Apple actually has one too. Apple has a
Let,
women's health study
yeah.
that I'm part of through my phone, where I check in with them, or either they'll send me check-ins like, "Hey, how are you feeling? How did your week go, mental health wise? How did your week go, physical health wise?" Like, and they ask specific questions. You know, because I am a woman, they ask specific questions.
To be
And they
part of
check
the
in.
Black women's health,
Yeah,
being part of a woman's health is one thing, but you want to subscribe more to the Black health
yeah.
issues, because we live in minority communities. We live in communities that are strife with crime. That we don't we have, there's a disparity between the fresh foods that we receive.
We
Grocery
don't have a
shopping
lot
is
of
a big
farmers
thing.
markets in our neighborhoods. We don't. We really don't. I
We
think
don't
there's
have. There's the one in
two
Beverly, and that's
that I
about
know of.
it. The
There's
one in
one
Beverly.
in Beverly. There's one in the South Shore area. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one actually that Trinity Church holds not too far from us.
Right.
They
Right.
so those are the three that I know about on the south side. I'm not sure if there's any other ones besides
The
those.
big one in Daily Plaza. I don't know. I don't even know if they still have that, but they have a great one in Daily
They haven't
Plaza
done the one in Daily Plaza for a while.
because of COVID. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and so like Trinity hasn't done theirs in a while, so I don't
Right.
know when they're going to start bringing those farmer markets back. But I
Back.
know they
Right.
did have them like pre-COVID, so
Right.
I don't know
Right.
when they're going to bring those back. We got a few comments. Carlington says, "If you're going to indulge in bacon, you got to do original bacon. It's the only way to go." I know that's right.
Hmm.
Randall says, "Try uncured turkey bacon. It's
Hmm.
better, and they have low sodium." Yvette says, "She pork chops with A1 sauce. Lord, I loved it." Yes, Yvette. She says, "I no longer eat pork. I may eat an Italian sausage here and there, but nothing more of pork." Bree is right. Turkey has lots of salt, so I eat that in portions. Bobby says, "I haven't done pork since before the red meat."
Oh my goodness.
Bobby said, "But I used to eat all of that." Yvette says, "I don't eat, and it also keeps our skin pure. Is what you put in your body." One thing I eat, like when I eat my chicken, I do boneless, skinless chicken. I don't eat skin on my chicken. And I find that when I go out, because I don't eat skin on my chicken, like I find myself picking at it to see if the people really cleaned it. Like if I go out and get chicken, because everybody don't clean their chicken.
I
They
can't. I can't.
so, but I have just I want to thank you for coming on today to just share the importance of, because you get to see it in your line of work. You get to see what happens when women are not diligent about their health, and not just their physical health, but also their
Exactly.
mental health. And it's extremely, extremely important that we take care of ourselves from the top of our heads to the soles of our feet.
Because if
And
we don't, who will?
because not only that, you know, um, you have to make sure that, like you say, if you can't take care of yourself, there's nobody else going to take care of you.
Right.
And if you don't put the oxygen on yourself, you can't put the oxygen on somebody else if the plane is going down. And I know that a lot of times we are that backbone. We are the one that keeps things going. We keep the train running, but we have to make sure, because if the engine on the train ain't running, the train can't go nowhere. We have to make sure that we are okay. And that means by any means
Means necessary.
necessary. Find a healthcare provider that you trust. Find a healthcare provider that you feel will listen to you, and make sure you telling them every single. I don't care how embarrassed you feel. I don't care how minute you think it is. If you got up one morning and you felt like your heels were burning because you stepped out of bed, that could be plantar fasciitis. And let me tell you, that is an extremely painful thing. But you have to be honest with your doctor in order for them to be able to treat you
Treat you right.
for what you
Exactly.
need, also to be able to refer you to the right specialist.
Yeah,
Because if
exactly.
you don't tell them specifically what it is that you're ailing with and how long you've been ailing with it and just how extreme it is, because simply saying you're in pain can mean that you just jammed your finger in the door, or it could
Right.
be anything. You
Right.
want them to know, even though it may seem minute, that it just happened one day. You've got to be diligent in giving all the details.
You're
That's
right.
one thing that we have to do, is make sure we give all the details when it comes to our
Our health.
health.
Yeah.
Put
And now that the weather's getting better, get out there, ladies, start walking. Even if it's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, get out there, start walking. Take some time for you, whether it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Take some time for you. Get a breath of fresh air, go for a nice little walk. Walking is good for your
Yeah,
cardio.
it is. And so I just thank you for joining us today. I thank you all for tuning in. And please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Give those thumbs up, give those hearts. And just, I want to leave you with a positive affirmation of, it's good to feel good.
Feel good.
So please make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. Enjoy this beautiful day. Please go in positivity and go in love. And we will see you all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. sharp. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.